The Monaco Grand Prix, the jewel in the Formula 1 calendar, always a great equalizer where the driver can make a massive difference, which is why, especially in F1 career mode, it's a great place to maybe do some good work in maybe a slightly inferior car. Last time out, we had the Imola Grand Prix in this F1 24 career mode. This is part number 61, but last time out, we had to battle against our old team, Mercedes, and actually enjoy their downfall in the race as they seemingly are still rubbish on the tyres. But on the last lap, it was almost a moment for us not to be laughing at the end of that race as we had a full heart and mouth moment keeping the car out of the wall on the last lap with some very worn hard tyres, I must say, and hanging on to a hard-fought P5 with some floor damage in there, actually. I forgot about that. Perez just turning into us. But Lando Norris was the man who came out victorious there with a final lap overtake of his own versus Charles Leclerc. Very closely matched, back and forth, pretty much the entire last stint, basically. But the McLaren driver is the one that leads the championship. We are only 1 point behind him. So, very nicely, you know, 4 seasons in, and we're still quite close together with our former and first teammate on this game in this series, Lando, in the McLaren. But the reigning champ, Leclerc, was looking fast out there. But like in the championship winning season of his last time out, he's still yet to win a race, but he's there or thereabouts in the top 3 of the championship as we, like I said, around Imola, try to punch above our weight as right now progress is being stalled with the R&D. I did note that you guys were saying that, you know, denying any secret meeting talk may boost the recognition, so I'm going to remember that, and as soon as we get another secret meeting, I'm going to completely disregard it and, quote-unquote, stay loyal to the team so that I can maybe get some more recognition, because right now, this is what the R&D chart looks like. At least, thankfully, though, you'll notice things are stabilizing now for the last 3 races from Miami, Imola, into Monaco. So maybe everyone in their respective teams has this problem with recognition, I suspect. Either that or, obviously, for the top teams, they're literally already at maxed out cars. But I suspect for the those of us in the bottom half of that chart, I think all of us have that issue of not one single driver has enough recognition to make those last bridging upgrades. But at the same time, as I've said many times, the scale of that is so tiny. So that bridge, you know, depending on the track, can definitely be done by the individual themselves. And this is one of those places, the Monaco GP, always a place where if you can just be that extra tenth more brave on the brakes, closer to the wall, you can make that difference and you can make something happen, especially in qualifying, which then sets you up for a great race. It's the most important qualifying of the entire season, especially now on F1 24 with the DRS trains or the general slipstream chains. It very much is like real life where, you know, a lot can happen in the opening or 2 laps, and then it might be a bit more of a, you know, casual affair as we drive through the streets of Monaco in these very bloated and big cars now that we have in 2024. First lap on the board wasn't amazing. The car, I'm not going to lie, for the first time felt a little inferior, although you can see we're wrestling it through, locking up as we do purple first sector. It's going okay, but it feels incredibly stiff. I think that's partly to do just with the nature of the circuit, the steering column angle changing to this circuit, but I think this car, as I've said, generally speaking, I can tell, it doesn't have as much downforce as, let's say, even the Mercedes I was driving last season, which even though I think this Toyota is more enjoyable to drive, you do notice that lack of downforce sometimes. And here in Monaco, you're going to notice it even more because you do need just that wing angle. You do need that front end pointing in. You know, we're at maxed out wings on the front and rear, and it still feels like I'm being limited quite a fair bit. So yeah, I think in that regard, I am pushing flat out. We've gone purple again first sector, really wringing the neck out of this car. Green middle sector, little lock up as we go through the final few corners and trying to get on the power as early as we dare as Verstappen goes quickest of all. We're down in P15. That was, we come across the line about under half a second gained, but still a huge amount of time to gain on a flying lap. You know, 4 tenths is no easy feat to gain on a flying lap, and that still only gets us P9. And very weirdly, it's a copycat of Imola, whereas you know, you Yuki is up there in P4 and I'm down in P9, so I'm scratching my head here a little bit. Now, this is 2 qualifyings in a row where all of a sudden Yuki has picked up, the pace and has got more comfortable with his Toyota. He's looking more like the Tsunoda we saw plenty of times last season as a competitor. So yeah, we've maybe got some work to do to refine a little bit of form over one lap. At least we know in the race, especially with the new Michelins, I'm liking this new formula we've got here in this season with the more durable tyres to lean on. It's incredibly close at the top though, I need to also point out. Verstappen, Lando and Leclerc all covered by 0.078 seconds. That is crazy close in the top 3. Hopefully Yuki could have a good start off the second row to maybe get himself into a cheeky top 3 on the opening lap. And for us, well, we've got quite a few cars to overtake if we want to try and break into the top 5 again around the Principality, but you just never know what's going to happen around these streets. Let's go to the grid.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino that first opened in 1863. And of course, a certain road race first held in 1929. But there's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. We're on the French Riviera once more this weekend at the 2-mile-long Circuit de Monaco. The cars will climb around 40 metres up the hill, past the casino, and then descend towards the harbour through Sector 2. It's a very short run from pole position to the first of 19 corners, and don't expect to see much overtaking here today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Tsunoda, Sainz, Perez, Albon, Hülkenberg, and RB, Oscar Piastri, Behrman, Hamilton, Stroll, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Sargent, Ocon, Ricciardo, Joe, and Frederick Vesti. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Well, it's been a long time since I last worked with you. Good to see you again today. Anthony Davidson. Let's look at their season, and particularly against their teammate. Fair to say they've got the better of them more often than not. Now, sadly, things didn't work out for them last time. It was a bad race. Question is, though, can they recover today?
Yes, they can, Crofty. You've got to put it behind you. Whatever happened last time, I was always told as a driver, park it, forget about it. Obviously, feel the pain when it happens, but then you can't dwell on it and carry that through to the next race. So put it behind you and just crack on with this race coming your way now.
So the strategy for this one is very much going to be a bog standard one-stop, medium to hards with the Michelins we've got, more durable compared to last season with the high tyre wear mod we had, and of course season 2 even I think was, didn't we have some last minute pit stops coming in at the end of the race? And of course last season we had a red flag that really shook things up for the man 2 places ahead of us. Alexander Albon actually won this Monaco Grand Prix last season in the Williams, now in the BMW powered Williams car. Let's see what he can do. I mean, he's qualified actually pretty damn well in P7. We didn't even know him. Done very well versus Ocon. He's been very quiet this season, but he's up here and probably good memories from last season. But Yuki, our teammate, has done very well. I really hope he could get a cheeky, overtake into turn 1 to get into the top 3. That'd be awesome for him. And if we can get a good start, if we play this right, we could make 1 or 2 overtakes in the first complex, in the first sector here, on the inside line. We've got the more favourable line to make something happen as we go to 5 red lights to the Monaco Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go in the Principality, and it is a cracking start for us on the right hand side. We're going to just try and follow Albon through, then try and make an overtake on him, but we have made 2 overtakes off the line versus Nico Hülkenberg and Sergio Perez. And Yuki, I think he's actually made a move. Yes, go on son, he's up into 3rd. So we've got our teammate in a podium spot here in Monaco. where it's difficult to pass after the opening lap for sure. As we make one other move on Albon there, it gets very tight to the hairpin, and there's even some 2x2s going at the very back of the grid, but it is single file in the top 10, and we've managed to catch Albon a little bit napping, but also just it's the concertina effect, and there's definitely is a chance always at Mirabeau on lap 1 in the F1 games to make a pass there. So we're very nicely up into P6, so one place off a top 5 that I wanted to try and aim for today, and we're on the back of Carlos Sainz. So let's see what we can do in the next couple of laps whilst the mediums are as fresh as they're ever going to be. But this is the replay of Yuki-san, and it's a great start for him. He almost got second. He went for second place versus Verstappen. Lando's had a cracking start, so the pole man has lost out to the man who won last time out in Imola. So Lando is in P1 in the McLaren, Verstappen second place, but Yuki almost even got up to second place. So that's a good confidence booster for him and for me as well, looking over at him. You know, I need him. I want him to score points. Maybe not more than me, because of course I want that recognition. We need me to have that recognition, and that means I have to be beating Yuki consistently to get that recognition, to open up the R&D, system for this car. But I also, for the sake of Toyota's championship chances, we need both of us scoring strongly, And so what that means for this race is, well, Tsunoda's up there in the top 3, so I've now got to try and bridge the gap here, and the gap just so happens to be 2 Ferraris. Can we make a very ballsy move on Sainz at the first time of asking, really, on this Spaniard? A little bit of contact with the wall. I'm a bit concerned about the front wing damage there. I hope the Toyota's strong enough. There's nothing on the heads-up display as we make the move stick at the hairpin, and I check my heads-up display. To my surprise, we didn't pick up damage for that pretty hefty whack on the walls, and we're on simulation damage. We have been for this series and for the last couple of F1 games. Is Hulkenberg has an engine failure. Unfortunately, one of the Haas Cadillacs will not be continuing this race. It's unfortunate because Piastri's looking pretty strong there in P10. Hulkenberg was ahead of him, of course, so he was actually the one in the points. So this Haas has to retire. That's a bit frustrating, and Haas Cadillac, that'll be a concern, because remember, wasn't it 2 episodes ago, Piastri had an engine failure, so that's 2 failures in 3 races for the American outfit, and for some points-paying positions, as it's Lando that leads then still on lap 4. What a broken DRS though to Verstappen. Yuki just outside the 1 second in 3rd place, so he's trying his best to hang with the Red Bull. Leclerc 4th, we're now P5, and we've been released to chase after Leclerc. Out the tunnel, he's left the door open slightly. Oi, that was always going to be a tricky one. We left that very late, and actually I'm thanking my lucky stars we didn't commit to that inside move, otherwise we would have been caught up on the wall and between the Ferrari side pod. So instead we stick with Leclerc, but the Ferraris definitely don't look as comfortable around here as both us Toyota boys, because Tsunoda, he's not exactly holding up Leclerc. He's holding his own kind of in a very similar gap to Leclerc that's there to Verstappen. So it's not like the Ferrari's being held up here by my teammate. So genuinely, it looks like this circuit's just suiting the Toyota more, and I'm certainly feeling that as we're all over the back now of Leclerc. We pull to the racing line. He goes defensive. We're going to give him the room into the left-hander. Maybe a little bit of contact made with the wall. More contact made, and Leclerc's got it all wrong, and he's crashed with his teammate as well. Leclerc is out of his home race, and this is the replay. I gave him all the room in the world here on the left, and then again, and he just drove straight into the barrier, and in doing so, I think Sainz actually drove into the back of him. Oh no, oh dear, oh no, Ferrari, oh no, it's a double bit of damage there, but Leclerc's out of the race. Sainz with front wing damage. I'm sorry, I gave him as much room as you could physically give without completely cutting the entire section completely. And even that, I went over the curb, I'll admit, but not just pretty much the same amount as the AI did to me last season there. It's just a very tricky complex, and I'm not going to lie, it seems like F124's AI have got a little bit less intelligent when it comes to avoiding a wall. They just love to actually just drive straight into one when they're pressed for space. Whereas I feel like on F1 23, they were actually able to have a little bit of semblance of, oh, I'll lift off and actually, you know, try and make the corner still. Whereas they just go flat out, it would seem, as we've now got a flurry of pit stops because the safety car has come out, and that has meant that Ollie Behrman has jumped quite a few positions in the high-tech with the positioning of the high-tech garage. He's up to P7 now. Russell's jumped up the order. He's into P8 for Mercedes. Albon's P5 ahead of Perez. And, crucially, I am staring at the back of the Red Bull because Tsunoda has jumped up to second. I actually think I slowed up Verstappen as I came in to the pit lane. So we've basically helped out Tsunoda there get up into second. This is amazing. So as the safety car is now coming in lap 9, all of us on the hard compound of Tyre. So it's going to be a long old stint to the end of the race. 30 laps to be exact. But, you know, without these Michelins have been, that's going to be absolutely no problem. As we get ready to go to green flags and trying to go around the outside of Verstappen, giving him a taste of his own medicine from years gone by and putting him under pressure. Look at that flashing light. He's harvesting battery at the worst time, and that's given us a bit of a run. Can we go around the outside? He gives us the room, to be fair to him, so fair play to Verstappen there as we go wheel to wheel now up the hill. We're on the inside line, so we can just go a bit deeper and get cut across and try and block off any sort of line he was going to try to keep that going the entire way around. And now look at this, Alexander Albon. It's deja vu from season 3. Didn't he make a very similar move on, I think, a Red Bull at Mirabeau like that in season 3? And that was for the race lead, or maybe second place if I remember correctly, or maybe I'm mixing up my memories there. But either way, Albon's definitely having another good Monaco. Maybe not as good as last season, but top 5 is very, very solid for BMW Williams, who's been struggling a little bit for form ever since that first opening race with the win from Esteban Ocon. But Verstappen is down to P4, and more importantly, it's a double Toyota podium as it stands. Tsunoda in second place. We're up to third. You know, Tsunoda was opportunistic on lap 1 with the overtake on Leclerc, opportunistic in the pit lane, and then we followed suit as we were on it like a car bonnet on the exit of the safety car period to get up into that last podium slot. Now, can I actually catch Tsunoda? As much as he's done very well, he has done very, very well. Of course, at this stage, already you can maybe tell, if there is to be a championship fight, I am very much the one in it, and every point is going to matter. As we saw last season, with how close it was, how close I lost to Leclerc in the championship, every point is going to matter. Every point always matters in these sort of F1 career mode series, so we have to try and make the move on Tsunoda, and thankfully, he's not going to put up too much of a fight. Mark told us to go overtake him, and we have done just so. Now, it's about really seeing what the pace of this Toyota is like in clean air, although I will say, even though the tyres don't feel horrendous and they're meant to be durable, that rear right is looking a bit questionable, but we have pulled away from Tsunoda, but the gap remains at about 2.6 to 3 seconds to Lando, so he's actually extended the lead slightly there, but I got so far away from Tsunoda, nearly 6 seconds, so although I'm pulling away from the cars behind me, I can't do anything to actually bridge the gap to the McLaren, as, oh my word, the bad luck continues in 2027 for Max Verstappen. It's a third engine failure of this season. We've only had 5 races, 3 engine failures in the opening race, and the last 2 now in a row.
Stop the car, please, on track, Max. Stop the car, please.
What a f***ing choke all the f***ing time with this shit, honestly.
So that's now going to be some free positions for a couple of cars there. Behrman up to P6, Perez P5, Albon P4 in the BMW Williams now. But that's a calamity for Red Bull and the Dutchman. I mean, last season, he was in the championship fights. He started strong, he ended strong, and he nearly won the whole thing. This season, I feel like it's going to be even more of a miracle if he comes back through in the championship, because 3 DNFs in such a tight season is pretty much a nail in the coffin already. already, you would kind of say, in the championship. Let's not speak too soon, you never know. But yeah, so now the rest of this race, for us and for Tsunoda especially as well, there's no pressure from behind for Tsunoda of a much quicker car. So we can just try and, you know, just take this to the end, basically. Second and third, nothing to lose now, no bother, and just cruise to a double podium. Also, I thought, because on lap 36, with 3 full laps to go, Lando is catching a lot of traffic. The blue flags are out, and all of a sudden, we are just outside the DRS. He's facing way more tyre wear than us. Once again, this Toyota is being incredibly kind on the Michelins, even though I'm also in the very high tyre wear region. You can see my heads-up display is brick orange, and the front left is looking very second-hand on the data, but feeling-wise, it's feeling good. It doesn't feel that bad at all. We're making our way through the lapped cars now as well. We made it past one of the Audis. We've got the other Audi of Joe Guanyu ahead, and then also Ricciardo in the Mercedes. And, well, this is always the problem at Monaco when you're the race leaders and you're so much quicker. You're going to catch cars, and for us, it's worked in our favour. It's slowed up the McLaren. Is there a half chance for us to maybe even get the race win today? I was ready just to coast to the end, be on autopilot, but here we are having a go at the McLaren. He is stern in his defence. Of course he's going to be. He's been leading the entire race since lap 1, so this would be some annoying way to lose this win around the Principality. But look at the traffic. I mean, look at the understeer as well, so there is definitely a bit of tyre wear there for me, because some of these corners are coming at me a bit too quick to make the turn. But the traffic's horrendous. This is some of the worst traffic I've seen on this game when it comes to Monaco. I mean, it's great timing for us because it's slowing up the McLaren, who might have the legs in the corners as we go for the move. Lando just hesitates a little bit to turn in there as we get alongside him, but we can't fully make the pass, because although I am feeling better on these tyres than the Chrome McLaren ahead, I am having a little wince sometimes when we turn in and the front end just doesn't bite in as much as you want, because, you know, even if the tyres are feeling okay relative to other cars, we've got over 65% wear, so, you know, these tyres will have done 30 laps by the end of the race, so you can't really blame them for feeling a little bit second-hand as we try the move, but we just can't. We can't commit there, and Lando shuts the door. If we committed there, that would have been, well, 0 to 0. That would have been a crash and probably a double DNF, and if I can help it, I want to still finish in second, but the win is there. It's right there. We're almost pushing the McLaren through some of these corners. I can taste the victory. We're now going on to the last lap. Could we do the impossible here and pull off a win at Monaco on the last lap? DRS open, but the McLaren is deploying all the way down that straight. I am not, because we're saving it for this hill and later, because I sense there's a better place to make this move. The McLaren may have it in the corners here, but Sector 2, we seem very good. We've been great all day through the tunnel, but Lando leaves the door open and lock up on the front right. Look at the icon on the heads-up display. The tyre wears getting proper into danger puncher territory as we're still side by side through the Monaco hairpin. This is crazy, but we're on the inside and we've got the run to the tunnel. Big snap of oversteer though, riding on board with the McLaren. He comes back at us. We're neck and neck through the apex of the tunnel. We come out to the sun beaming, and who's it going to shine for today around Monaco? I think it may just be us. We've got the racing line and we're going to hold P1. We're only a few corners away now through swimming pool. It's going to be a historic 1-3 for Toyota in the modern era of Formula 1, and we almost had a crash there at Raskas, such as the tyre wear, but we've done it. We've once again finessed our opponents and we've got a second win in this season for Toyota. What did I say before? We needed races like this, where it comes together. The luck's there with the lapped cars. It was the rain in Miami. It's a win. It's a finessing win, but oh, it feels good.
They've done it then. They've won here in Monaco with an emphatic performance and a victory they can be proud of for many years to come.
you always look back at a race like this and think, if I had just made that mistake there or locked up here, there would have been contact. And every one of those overtakes is a moment where you have to absolutely nail it, perfect it, and that's exactly what they're able to do today. Great stuff indeed.
An incredible victory.
We're putting in some man-of-the-match performances this season so far to keep this Toyota in the early standings fights. We are leading the championship by 5 points to Lando Norris, of course, first to second. You know, not too much difference there, so we're close together, but both of us streaking away now a little bit from third man Leclerc with the DNF, and we've got Toyota to lead the constructors by 1 point. Only 1 point, but races like today where Tsunoda's got third, that's promising. More of that, and we could stumble ourselves into an actual title fight. I'm still very skeptical, though, of us actually fighting for the title, especially in the constructors, but even the drivers, because we can't bank on races like this. Monaco is like a chance to do something like that, so you have to take it when you have the opportunity. But then, immediately next race, we're going to come to more traditional circuits where it's a bit more open space and the other teams can perform and show their class. So we have to take these sort of victories when we can, and we're doing just so. Unlike in our Mercedes season, we're maximizing every opportunity of good points, of wins here in this Toyota. And I think that's down to the more durable tyres this season and the way the Toyota is handling them. So guys, if you have enjoyed this episode, then be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.